Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai
Jai
Srila Prabhupada ki jai
Jai
Samaveta Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
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 Hare
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 Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama
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 Hare
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 Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to today's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. We are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, Chapter 1, the later pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Mahaprabhu is traveling from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan. So, on the way, now Mahaprabhu has stopped in Ramkeli, and in Ramakeli, Rup Sanatan Goswamis, who were at the time Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik, they come to meet with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is the mood? What is the mood of these two devotees when they approach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That's what we've been reading in the past couple of days. So, in great humility, Sri Rupa Goswami submitted himself, both Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami submitted themselves to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What did they do? 186. Upon seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the two brothers were overwhelmed with joy, and out of humility they began to cry. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them to get up and assured them of all good fortune. The two brothers got up, and again, taking straw between their teeth, they humbly offered their prayers with folded hands. All glory is to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most merciful savior of the fallen souls. All glory is to the Supreme Personality. Sir, we belong to the lowest class of men, and our associates and employment are also of the lowest type. Therefore, we cannot introduce ourselves to you. We feel very much ashamed standing here before you. Dear Lord, let us inform you that no one is more sinful than us, nor is there any offender like us. Even if we wanted to mention our sinful activities, we would immediately become ashamed, and what to speak of giving them up. The two brothers submitted. Dear Lord, you have incarnated to deliver the fallen souls. You should consider that in this world there is none so fallen as us. You have delivered the two brothers Jagai and Madhai, but to deliver them, you did not have to exert yourself very much. The brothers Jagai and Madhai belonged to the Brahmana caste, and their residence was in the holy place of Navadvip. They never served low class persons, nor were they instruments to abominable activities. Jagai and Madhai had but one fault: they were addicted to sinful activity. However, volumes of sinful activity can be burned to ashes simply by a dim reflection of the chanting of your holy name. Jagai and Madhai uttered your holy name by way of blaspheming you. Fortunately, that holy name became the cause of their deliverance. We too are millions and millions of times inferior to Jagai and Madhai. We are more degraded, fallen, and sinful than they. Actually, we belong to the caste of meat eaters because we are servants of meat eaters. Indeed, our activities are exactly like those of the meat eaters. Because we always associate with such people, we are inimical toward the cows and brahmanas. So we discussed this yesterday, how somebody who's committing sinful activities is sinful, but somebody who's working for a sinful person, his condition is even more abominable, right? So that we learn from, uh, because uh, when you commit sinful activities, if you chant the holy names, then the holy name will deliver you. But if you commit offenses because of being a servant of a sinful person, you consider this person to be your master, and then you defend your master in order to please your master, you offend devotees also, then you are doomed. So that's our position. Like, for example, we are even offenders to brahmanas and cows. Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami are saying. Why? Because we are serving a Mlecha king, like that. So text 198. Mora karma mora hate galaya bandhiya kuvishaya vishta garte diya che khelaiya. The two brothers, Sakar Malik and Dabir Khas, very humbly submitted that due to their abominable activities, they were now bound by the neck and hands and had been thrown into a ditch filled with abominable stool like objects of material sense enjoyment. Garta, yeah, Srila Prabhupada explains. Garta means very like nasty things, like garbage, right? Obnoxious things are there, like stool and dirty things. Garta. So, what are they saying? That by our own activities, because of our abominable activities, we have tied ourselves. Huh? We were now bound by the neck and hands, right? Bound by the neck and hands. You see, when you bind some, like dogs or even animals, they're tied around the neck and you drag them, right? They don't have any independence, they're just getting pulled. Or a human being, let's say he's tied, like, when somebody is arrested, they tie the hands and then you pull and the person has to go. So we are tied around our necks and our hands by what? By our own abominable activities. And then we are dragged because of these abominable, dragged. Where are we dragged? Into what? Throne. We are which is filled with abominable stool-like objects. What are these abominable objects? These are objects of material sense enjoyment. Material sense enjoyment, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami are saying, material sense enjoyment is like a ditch filled with abominable activities. Abominable things. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has explained Vishaya Garta as follows. Because of the activities of the senses, we become subjected to many sense gratificatory processes. and are thus entangled by the laws of material nature. This entanglement is called Vishaya. When the sense gratificatory processes are executed by pious activity, they are called Suvishaya. The word Su means good and Vishaya means sense objects. When the sense gratificatory activities are performed under sinful conditions, they are called Ku-Vishaya, bad sense enjoyment. In either case, either Ku-Vishaya or Su-Vishaya. These are material activities. As such, they are compared to stool. In other words, such things are to be avoided, right? Stool is to be avoided. Get rid of it. Like that, material activities, of what is the goal of material activities? The goal of material activities is sense gratification, sense enjoyment. So material activities must be flushed down, must be, kept far away, material activities, because they are compared to abominable things like stool. And whether it is pious activity or impious activity, materialistic people are attracted to, if they can be pious or impious. Pious means they follow the scriptural injunctions, but the goal is still sense enjoyment. Impious means they don't follow scriptural injunctions, their goal is also sense enjoyment. Those who are not following scriptural injunctions and their goal is sense enjoyment, they are like animals, right? Animals. Because they're not even called human beings. If you don't have any religion, if you don't follow any dharma, then you're not even human being. You are as good as animal. Moodha. Namam dushkritino moodha prapadyante naradhama. Moodha means animal, ass, donkey. Anyone who has no sense of uh, God or religion, dharma, then he is as good as a donkey or as an animal. Okay. And somebody who's following dharma, but for the sake of sense enjoyment only. Who is he? Naradhama. Nara Adhama. He's following dharma given by the Lord, but nevertheless, his goal is simply sense enjoyment. Right? He goes to the Lord to get some sense enjoyment. Once he gets that, he forgets the Lord. Naradhama. He may be a human being because he's following some dharma, punya karma, but it is after all material activity. His goal is still sense enjoyment. So both, Prabhupada also says, here it is compared to stool, right? Prabhupada says wet stool and dry stool. In villages, people just pass stool outside. And they pass stool during the day in the morning, and afternoon, because of hot sun, it gets dried up on top. But underneath it is still wet. So some people will say, oh, the dried stool is good. The wet is obnoxious, but dried is good. And Prabhupada says, after all, it is stool. Whether it is dry or wet, it is nasty. Get rid of it. So our punya karma is like dry stool, and our what do you say, vishaya, right? Sinful activities like wet stool. But both are after all stool. Both are garta. Both are obnoxious, like a ditch filled with obnoxious things. We should keep material activities far distant, far away, whether they are punya karma or papa karma. Don't get attracted to them. Material activities are not good. That's the point. So the word su means good and vishaya means sense objects. When the sense gratificatory activities are performed under sinful conditions, they are called ku vishaya, bad sense enjoyment. In either case, either ku vishaya or su vishaya, these are material activities. As such, they are compared to stool. In other words, such things are to be avoided. To become free from su vishaya and ku vishaya, what should you do? How can you avoid? You have to rise above the material platform As long as you're on the material platform, you will be doing either this or that. Either you will be doing Kuvishaya or Suvishaya. Then how do you come out of this? How do you transcend? Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mamevaye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. We have to surrender to Krishna. That's when we can elevate ourselves from both these. To become free from Suvishaya and Kuvishaya, one must engage himself in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The activities of devotional service are free from the contamination of material qualities. Yes. What are devotional activities? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Right? On a broad scale, direct devotional service. And any other activity which is done for the pleasure of the Lord, that is also devotional service. So activities of devotional service are free from the contamination of material qualities. Therefore, to be free from the reactions of Suvishaya and Kuvishaya, one must take to Krishna consciousness. In that way, one will save himself from contamination. In this connection, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Karma Kanda Jnana Kanda Kevala Vishera Bhanda Amrita Bolia Jeba Khaye नाना योनि सदा फिरे कदरिया भक्षण करे तार जन्म अधः पाते जाए. Okay? So karma kanda, what is karma kanda? Doing karmas for sense gratification. Jnana kanda, also doing jnana, by that process you want some result, material result. Kevala vishera bhanda. You may think, oh, this is also given in the Vedas, I'm following this and I'm a very religious person. But what is the goal? You want to go to Swarga after this life, or even up to the point of you want to go and merge into Brahman. So Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Kevala Vishera Bhanda. Kevala Vishera Bhanda. They are simply a pot of poison. Suvishaya and Kuvishaya both fall under the category of Karma Kanda. Whether it is pious activity or impious activity, sinful activity, both are karma kanda. Actually, karma kanda means it well, yeah, there are 5 types of karma. Yes, so there is nitya karma, naimittika karma, kamya karma, nishiddha karma, prayashchitta karma. 5 types. Nitya karma means things which have to be done every day regularly, like Sandhya Vandanam, for example, for Brahman. Nitya karma. Naimittika karma means samskaras, like Vivaha samskara, Shraddha samskara, Namakarana samskara, samskaras. They are done at intervals. Samskaras, that is Naimittika karma. Kamya karma means you want some special karmas or yagyas or pujas done for to get some material result. People do this Satyanarayana Vrata. Why? So that we'll get prosperity. That's also karma. Satyanarayana Vrata. Or they will do Putreshti Yagya, Putra Kameshti Yagya. We desire to have a son. For that you do some karma or some yagya. Like that. Or for good health, to do some yagya. All these things. This is all Kamya karma. Expecting some material result, you're doing some karma, Kamya karma. Nishiddha karma means prohibited activities. So that would be sinful activities, right? So that is also counted under karma only. So that therefore Nishiddha activity means prohibited. You're not supposed to be doing those activities. Nishiddha karma. And let's say you did Nishiddha karma, then what's the result? What should you do after that? Prayashchitta karma. Atone for that so that you don't get a sinful reaction. If you have committed some Nishiddha karma, prohibited activity, then you do some prayashchitta karma, atone for that. Give some dana, do some tapasya, like that. So therefore, all this is karma kanda. So Srila Prabhupada is saying both pious and impious activities are karma kanda only. whether it is Kuvishaya or Suvishaya, whether it is Nishiddha karma or Kamya karma, after all it is material activity. That's the point. So, Karma Kanda, they both fall in the category of Karma Kanda. There is another Kanda, platform of activity. This is also activity, called Jnana Kanda or philosophical speculation about the effects of Kuvishaya and Suvishaya, with the intention to find out the means of deliverance from material entanglement. Okay? So, Karma Kanda means Punya Papa Karmas. Then what is Jnana Kanda? Jnana Kanda is speculation, philosophical speculation about the effects of Kuvishaya and Suvishaya. So if you do Kuvishaya, then what is the result? If you do Suvishaya, what is the result? Not directly taking from authority, rather speculating about this result. And what is the goal of this speculation? With the intention to find out the means of deliverance from from material entanglement. So you want to come out of the cycle of birth and death. You want to come out of the entanglement of this material world. But in order to come out, you take to the process of speculation. If I do this activity, then I'll get that result. If I do that activity, then I'll get that result. So I should do this because my goal is I want to come out of all this. This type of speculation is called, philosophical speculation is called Jnana. On the platform of Jnana, one may give up the objects of Kuvishaya and Suvishaya. They may give up the objects of Kuvishaya and Suvishaya. But that is not the perfection of life. Perfection is transcendental to both Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. It is on the platform of devotional service. If we do not take to devotional service in Krishna consciousness, we have to remain within this material world and endure the repetition of birth and death due to the effects of Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. Yes. So we will be repeatedly taking birth again and again until and unless we take to devotional service. If we don't take to devotional service to Krishna, then we will remain in this material world as a result of our karma kanda, jnana kanda activities. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur says, Nana yoni sada phire, kadarya bhakshana kore, tara janma adaha pate jai. What is the result of doing all these activities, karma kanda, jnana kanda, even though apparently from the scriptures you are following the, but the goal is after all not devotional service. It is not surrendering to the Supreme Lord. Goal is still material enjoyment. See, wanting to get free from material enjoyment is also material desire only, isn't it? I want to be free from this suffering. I want to be free from this suffering. I want to be peaceful. That's also one type of material desire only, isn't it? Wanting liberation. It's not out of love. See, there are two types of, actually there are three types of desires. Desires for material enjoyment. Second one is after you are frustrated with material life, there is no happiness in this material enjoyment. Right? Prabhupada says about grapes are sour. A fox once went into a grape garden and it saw some grapes hanging down and it wanted to eat, but they are high. So it's jumping and jumping, trying to catch the grapes. And it was not, after trying and trying, jumping, after a while it says, oh, grapes are sour. Who wants these grapes? And he walks away. Like that. Sense enjoyers, they try for sense enjoyment this way, that way, so many ways. And life after life, trying for sense enjoyment, trying to get some juice out of it. And finally, when they see there is no happiness here, right? After trying, it's not like they've understood. They tried and they couldn't get anything. Then they'll say, grapes are sour. What is there? Now we will try for higher, right? We want liberation because Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. This world is false. There is no happiness here. Grapes are sour, right? I don't want these grapes. I don't want this sense enjoyment. I want liberation. That's just another coin, right? You have heads and tails of a coin. Both are on the two sides of the same coin. So wanting liberation, wanting sense enjoyment, it's the same thing. You have to come out of this selfish mentality. right? Because my position is I'm a servant of the Supreme Lord. Servant means sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatmena nirmalam. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. Hrishikena Hrishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. Giving up all types of designations about who I am, what I want. Tat paratvena nirmalam, becoming completely free from all types of contamination. And then offering with those purified senses, Hrishikena, nirmalam Hrishikena, the senses which are now purified of all types of material sense enjoyment, right? With those senses, Hrishikesha Sevanam, serving the master of the senses. This is called bhakti. This is called bhakti. And that is our natural position. And that is what we should be aspiring for. So I said there are three types of desires. One is material desire, the other is desire for liberation, and the third desire is pure desire, simply bhakti. Desiring bhakti, wanting to please the Supreme Lord with my purified senses, wanting to serve the Supreme Lord with my purified senses. Until and unless one comes to this point of wanting to serve the Supreme Lord with my purified senses, he is actually still, he has not reached the platform of perfection, and he has to keep going in the cycle of birth and death. That's what is being said by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. One travels throughout various species of life and eats all kinds of nonsense. Thus, he spoils his existence. A man in material existence and attached to sometimes kuvishaya and sometimes suvishaya, isn't it? Bhoga tyaga. You enjoy a lot, and then after enjoying, you become sick, right? Let's say you eat too much fried food or this or whatever, and then your stomach is sick, and then you don't want to look at that anymore. So first you do bhoga, and after bhoga, when you suffer, then you do tyaga. Oh, I don't want all this. I will just eat simple food and this and that. But that won't last for long. After some time, after eating simple food for some time, again the mind will go. Now once again, I want to eat that. Bhoga tyaga, like a pendulum going back and forth. Going for bhoga, then coming to tyaga. Bhoga tyaga, this will go on. Kuvishaya and suvishaya. You'll do kuvishaya, then you'll do suvishaya, again you'll do kuvishaya, like that. So, a man in material existence and attached to kuvishaya or suvishaya is in the same position as that of a worm in stool. See, for us to bring us out of our illusion, Acharya, Guru uses very strong words. Otherwise, we are in deep sleep in the lap of Maya, isn't it? We are fast asleep. To wake us up, we need to be shaken up. So, to shake us up, they use really strong words. So, a man in material existence and attached to Kuvishaya and Suvishaya is in the same position as a worm in stool. After all, whether it be moist or dry, stool is stool. Similarly, material activities may be either pious or impious, but because they are all material, they are compared to stool. Worms cannot get out of stool by their own endeavor. Similarly, those who are overly attached to material existence cannot get out of materialism and suddenly become Krishna conscious. Right? 7 Bhagavad Gita 7:28 says, Tesham yesham twantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam. Antagatam papam. Their sinful activities have come to an end, or they're coming to an end. Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridamrata. So for someone to take to devotional service with determination, what do they need? In order to do devotional service with determination, they have to become free from all types of sinful uh, activities. So complete Complete stoppage of sinful activities does not happen simply by punya karma. It does not happen. Nevertheless, by doing punya karma, what happens is you are brought to the mode of goodness. When you're doing papa karma, you're in the modes of passion and ignorance. So to do punya karma, then you come to the mode of goodness. So naturally, the other day I was telling you, you have a glass, right? The capacity of a cup is this much. Now, if it is filled up to 3/4 with uh, milk, 1/4 with, well, not milk, oil, okay? 3/4 with water and 1/4 is oil. Now, if you increase the quantity of oil to half, what happens to water? Water will come down, isn't it? Water will come down. Similarly, when you do punya karma, your goodness is increasing. So as goodness is increasing, proportionately, your passion and ignorance will reduce, which is to your advantage, because the mode of goodness is next door neighbor to transcendence. It's like this: the deepest, lowest is ignorance, middle is passion, and topmost means in the material realm, goodness, and above goodness is transcendence. So goodness is, like Srila Prabhupada said, it's the springboard. You know, springboard, when those who dive into the swimming pool, or when they dive, they use this springboard, right, to pick up some momentum. So they jump on the springboard, and that gives them the momentum with which they dive. So similarly, this mode of goodness is like a springboard from where you can get the momentum to dive to transcendence. So mode of goodness is favorable. It's favorable to spiritual life. It is not spiritual life in and itself. Of course, spiritual, okay. In the mode of sattvat sanjayate jnanam. When you are in the mode of goodness, then your knowledge is awakened. What knowledge? I am not this body. I am a spirit soul. That knowledge is awakened when you are in the mode of goodness. Therefore, activities in the mode of goodness are recommended, right? Simple food, simple activities, right? Natural lifestyle. All this is mode of goodness. Mode of goodness is favorable for devotional service. Why? When you do punya karma, your goodness increases, then proportionately your papa, that means your modes of ignorance and passion, are reduced. From ignorance comes illusion. Illusion is the result of ignorance. Moha. Moha or illusion is the product of ignorance. So when ignorance is reduced, your illusion is also reduced. And what is sammoha? Sammoha means atyasakti. Atyasakti means intense attachment. One is illusion, right? Bewilderment. Atyasakti means intense attachment. So people who are used to this ku-vishaya and su-vishaya, that means who are always absorbed in these activities, material activities, they have this illusion and intense attachment. If somebody has sammoha, intense attachment, or atyasakti, he is not eligible to do bhakti. He is not eligible to do bhakti. He is there deeply in the mode of ignorance. Deep attachment, strong attachment for material activities, either sinful activity or pious activity. You're strongly attached means that's mode of ignorance. And mode of ignorance, someone in this who's having this type of strong attachment, he cannot do bhakti. He cannot do bhakti. Therefore, directly from ignorance to jump to transcendence is a big, long jump or high jump. You won't be able to cover that. You may not be able to cover that. It is possible if there is a very powerful sadhu like Srila Prabhupada. He could even lift someone from the lowest, deepest, stages, existence of ignorance. He could lift them up. But in general, it's not possible. That's why here Srila Prabhupada is saying, those who are absorbed in material activities are like the worms in stool. They are in deep ignorance. Those in deep ignorance, they cannot free themselves. They cannot come out of it themselves. They need help. They need help. What is that help? They have to do bhakti. So when you say bhakti, how can they do bhakti? Until and unless they come in the association of a devotee, how they'll do bhakti. So that is the thing. But to do bhakti also, even after coming in the association of a devotee, if that sadhu is not a very, very powerful sadhu, like Srila Prabhupada, right? So if he's not such a powerful sadhu, then even after coming in association with devotees, these people won't change. Of course, the reason they won't change is not just their sinful activities, offenses. And there are too many offenses. In spite of being in the association of devotees, in spite of hearing Hare Krishna, in spite of hearing Bhagavad Gita, they are not able to make progress because too many offenses. So anyway, coming back to our shloka, I have to end soon. So one travels throughout various species of life and eats all kinds of nonsense. Thus he spoils his existence. A man in material existence and attached to Kuvishaya or Suvishaya is in the same position as that of a worm in stool. After all, whether it be moist or dry, stool is stool. Similarly, material activities may be either pious or impious, but because they are all material, they are compared to stool. Worms cannot get out of stool by their own endeavor. Similarly, those who are overly attached to material existence cannot get out of materialism and suddenly become Krishna conscious. They are not able to take. Those who are overly attached to material activities, they cannot suddenly take to Krishna consciousness. So therefore they have to, at least minimize, right? Somehow or other they have to come out of that association. Why? So this is just for our understanding why some people are not able to take. You preach, you give books and everything, still they don't take. Why? This is the reason. Like worms in stool, right? Very, very deeply embedded in their kuvishaya and suvishaya. Attachment is there. Intense attachment, sammoha. Sammoha. Anyone who has sammoha, intense attachment, he cannot do bhakti. He cannot take to Krishna consciousness. His attachment won't allow him. It won't go in. Attachment is there. As explained by Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, text 30. Matirna Krishne paratah svato va mitho bhipadyet grihavratanam adanta gobhir vishatam tamisram punah punascharvita charvananam. Those who have made up their minds to remain in this material world and enjoy sense gratification cannot become Krishna conscious. Yes, you will at least want, first of all, you should understand that this place is not a place for a gentleman. As long as we are thinking, oh, now I have a nice home, I have a nice family, and we will live happily ever after, as long as I have such ideas, right? We cannot take to bhakti. We cannot take to bhakti. At least theoretically, we should understand. Shastra says this place is not a place, for a gentleman. It's not fit for uh, inhabitation. You cannot live in this place. It's not fit for dwelling. We need to get out of here as soon as possible. Garta, right? It's like a ditch filled with abominable activities of stool, etc. That's how you should look at this place. At least you should understand this is what Shastra is saying. So I may not be able to see it, but I know theoretically that I don't want to live here all the time, right? I don't want to live here means, you see, there's a difference. Then why devotees come here, you can say. They come out of compassion. Now, you may say, because my spiritual master wants me to render devotional service here, I can go to hell. For the Lord's sake, I can go to hell. Then why not here? Anywhere in the material world, I'll go. I'll go to a stool pit and I'll stay there. If that's what the Lord wants me to do and preach to all the worms in the stool, I will do that. That is the mood of a devotee, like Prahlad Maharaj. My Lord, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here in the cities where all these people, right, Grihamedis, they're thinking they will enjoy life nicely. They have these big, big plans, how they will enjoy their life. I want to stay here and preach to them. I don't want to go back. until I send all these people back to Godhead first. That is the consciousness of a devotee. It's for that reason he's here, not because, oh, it's a nice, comfortable place here, I can stay here. No, that's not why a devotee stays. So that is what is being said here, that those who have made up, but Grihavratas or Grihamedis, they made up their minds that I will enjoy in this world, right? I will remain in this material world and I will enjoy sense gratification. Such people cannot become Krishna conscious. They cannot. Because of their attachment to material activity, they cannot attain liberation either by the instructions of superior persons or by their own endeavor or by passing resolutions in big conferences. But because their senses are uncontrolled, they gradually descend to the darkest regions of material existence to repeat the same process of birth and death in desirable or undesirable species of life. That's not in our hands. It is in one sense our hands, but the way it works is when you go downhill, you are just going down and down. It's not like, see, when you fall from, when you're dropped off, from the elevator, it loses its control. Then you're falling down, but can you control how fast you want to go down? Or no. So similarly, when you take to that path of materialistic way of life, you're just gliding down, 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 down. It's like, and you just take different forms of life, whether desirable, different species. We just keep going. But we need help. We need devotees. We need devotees association. Then we can be elevated. So yeah, so this purport ends here. How Grihavratas, they cannot take to bhakti because of their attachment to sense enjoyment in this material world, and their destination is they will glide down to the darkest regions of material existence, and they will continue this process of birth and death. Why? Because of abominable activities. So Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik are saying to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because of my abominable activities or because of our abominable activities, we are now bound by neck and hands and thrown into a ditch filled with abominable stool-like objects of material sense enjoyment. So when we engage in such activities, and what to speak of here, what is the context? The context is they're working for a materialistic master. So if we are being maintained by a materialistic master, then this will be the destination. We'll be tied with our hands and neck and thrown into. We should realize this. When we realize this, in what a precarious condition to Krishna. But if we justify that no, in this age, what else can we do? This is all we are doing, and it is fine. We are chanting Hare Krishna, so even if we are doing this, Hare Krishna will deliver us. So, what happens when you get into that type of mindset is you are saying it with your lips. Yes, if we chant Hare Krishna, everything will happen. It is true. If you chant Hare Krishna, everything will happen. But are you chanting Hare Krishna with that intensity? I am not chanting. Why we are not able to chant with that intensity? Because of being stuck in the modes of passion and ignorance, because of, you know, lack of association of devotees. We are not taking it seriously. But if you were in the mode of goodness, then it's a favorable atmosphere. You can actually realize these things. You can realize, instead of becoming comfortable with our nice homes and cars and everything, with our goals, material goals, and side by side little bit of chanting, sometimes 16, sometimes less, and we are coasting, as they say, through life, living in this illusion that, yes, I'm going back to Godhead. It is a state of consciousness. Godhead, what is the state of consciousness of the devotees in Godhead? They're always Krishna conscious. So when you come to that standard, then you are eligible to go to Godhead, isn't it? So while we are here, we should endeavor for that. We should endeavor for that. Uh, and whatever is an obstacle to our developing Krishna consciousness, push those things far away, keep them distant. And those things which are favorable for developing Krishna consciousness, you accept those like that. So, in great humility, Dabir Kas and Sakar Malik are presenting their, submitting their situation in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that because of serving a master who is a mlecha, Yavana, and we have also become like that. And now the result is we are tied by our hands and neck, and we are thrown into a ditch filled with abominable stool-like things of sense enjoyment. So then we will see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu responds to Dabir Kas and Sakar Malik by hearing this. Because who are they actually? Right? What is their what? They are the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord. So we will read that tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.